is fine? Yes. Okay. So we'll continue. Okay, good to know that everyone is fine. Keep yourself fine. Take care of yourself. Don't go out. Okay. If you are going, it is unavoidable. Please wear mask, carry a sanitizer. Don't touch anything when you're going out. Okay, don't touch anything. Don't touch anyone. Right. Okay. So a gentle reminder to everyone: keep reading the PowerPoint slides. Cover the topics whichever are covered on the day. Okay. Go through only those topics and try to prepare notes on your in your own words. Okay. Okay, now we'll continue. So last class we discussed about we saw how woolen fabric is made from the fiber, right? There are different steps which are involved. What are those steps? Quickly, let me see who gives the answer. What is the first step involved in the processing of the woolen fabric? Shearing, very good. Shearing, second step. After shearing, scouring, very good. Third step, shearing is removal of the fleece, okay, using the trimmer kind of machine. Scouring is washing or getting rid of the impurities, putting them in large tank using mild detergent, then drying them using rollers and dryers. Then third is sorting, very good, sorting them according to their size, length, texture. Then again, grading. Grading is also a kind of sorting where according to their length, texture, and different varieties it is sorted out. And using metal combs, the burrs, the fluffy burrs are removed, and again it is washed. That means again scouring takes place, again it is washed and dried. Then it goes for dyeing, where it is dyed to different colors. Generally they are off-white color, gray color, okay, some are of black color, the others are dyed. Then again the next step is spinning. So they are spun into yarns and fabric is made. Okay, so these are the steps involved, and every step is very important, and utmost care is taken to carry out the process. But the people who deal with these things do suffer from many respiratory disorders, suffer from skin allergies. Okay, so there are diseases. Those days there was a disease called sorter's disease, especially the people who were there in the sorting process used to suffer from sorter's disease, and it was caused by anthrax bacteria. So inhaling that bacteria would lead to disease, and it was a fatal disease. Fatal means they would die. Okay, fatal disease. But now, to some extent, they have control because they have found vaccines for it, and it is controlled. Okay, so now we will move on to the next animal fiber, which is silk. Okay, so you remember in the beginning I told you animal fibers are dash fiber. What are they? Animal fiber are dash fiber. They are natural fiber. Okay, they are protein fiber. Spelling is wrong, Sairaga, but the answer is right. Good, very good. They are natural fiber, but they are protein fiber. Animal fibers are protein fiber. Okay. So the first thing that should come to your mind is animal fibers are protein fiber. They are rich in protein. Okay, right? Okay, so now we'll learn about silk. So we already started about silk, and you all remember I told you a story last year that the Empress of China, actually silk was discovered in China. So when this Empress called Li Su was having a cup of tea, accidentally a cocoon dropped into her cup of tea, and when she took it out, tea will be hot, right? When she took it out, she found that she could unravel the thread, and she was quite happy to see such a shiny fiber. And then she told the emperor that I think we can do cultivation of silkworms to get these fibers which are very shiny. So he said okay. Then they started planting mulberry trees, and rearing of silkworms was done to get the silk. Okay, for many years it was kept as a secret. They never told to the other countries that this is how it is done, and they were trading silk to different countries, okay, to Russia, to India, Then, after many years, a princess from that kingdom, she revealed the truth. She told that this is how it is done, and then the other countries, few countries started doing it. So now India and China are the major producers of silk in the world. Okay, so we'll begin with the life cycle of silk moth. Life cycle of a silk moth. The very common silk silkworm or domesticated silk moth is Bombyx mori. Okay, this is a very common domesticated silk moth. Okay, very common. So yeah, we all know that it is obtained from the cocoons of silkworm. We'll see the life cycle. So first, laying of eggs. What happens in laying of eggs? The female silk moth, female silk moth will lay nearly 300 to 400 eggs. Yes, 300 to 400 eggs. Then these eggs are washed and they are incubated at 25 degrees Celsius. They are washed and incubated. That means kept in laboratory conditions at 25 degrees Celsius because the room temperature is different. Okay, 25 degrees Celsius is different. So it varies from place to place. So 25 degrees Celsius is the apt temperature for the eggs to hatch, right? So when they are kept in 25 degrees Celsius, they will hatch. They'll get the best hatching percentage. Okay. So 300 to 400 eggs are laid at a time. They are washed, they are incubated at 25 degrees Celsius for best hatching. Then comes the next process, which is the larvae process. Larvae step, or we call them as caterpillar. Right. So after 14 days, the eggs will hatch. So it takes 14 days for the eggs to hatch and the caterpillar to come out. Right. So after 14 days, I think I'll put the arrow here. After 14 days, we get the larvae or the caterpillar, right? Female moth, silk moth will lay 300 to 400 eggs at a time. Those eggs are washed, they are incubated at 25 degrees Celsius. Then after 14 days of keeping in 25 degrees Celsius, they break open, they hatch, and the larvae or the caterpillar emerges out. Okay. Excuse me. Emerges out. So when these caterpillars come out, they'll be very hungry. They'll be very hungry, and they'll start feeding. If I write here, can you see this part?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so thank you, sir. Yeah, so they'll be very hungry and they'll start feeding on the mulberry leaves. Right? They'll start feeding on the mulberry leaves and they'll eat for 3 to 4 weeks. So they'll be so much hungry. They'll come out, they'll be hungry, they'll keep eating the mulberry leaves. And for 4 weeks, and they keep eating, they'll start growing in size, right? They'll shed their skin. And the process of shedding the skin is called, 4 times they will shed their skin. What is that process called? Very good. It is called molting. Very good. Good. So the process of shedding the skin 4 times, the larvae will shed the skin in this 3 to 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, when it keeps on feeding the mulberry leaves, it keeps on growing in size and it keeps on shedding the skin. When the worms grow, they keep shedding their skin. Okay, so they keep shedding the skin, and that process of shedding the skin is called molting. Okay, MOULTING, molting. You know, these caterpillars, these larvae, they eat 50,000 times their original weight and they grow 10,000 times in their size. So, since the time of hatching, they will grow 10,000 times their size. That means if they were this much, they will grow 10,000 times bigger, and they will eat 50,000 times more than their original weight. So they eat more than their original weight. So much they eat. Okay, so much. Okay, wait, I'll rub the board and then we'll continue. Excuse me. Yes, so now what's the next step? After these caterpillars keep feeding, yes, very good. After a month, they will enter into the next stage called the pupa stage. Yes, pupal stage. Very good. Third stage, which is pupa. Okay. So these caterpillars, after 1 month, means after they came out of the eggs, after 14 days of incubation, the eggs hatched. Then 3 to 4 weeks is what? 1 month. 1 month. They keep eating and they keep growing. Then after 1 month, they enter into the next stage called the pupa stage or the pupal stage. Pupal stage. Right? Pupal stage. Now, at this stage, what they will do is they will weave a net around themselves. How will they weave a net around themselves? By secreting the saliva. They keep secreting saliva. And like how they'll do it in the shape of 8. Okay. In the shape of 8. So they keep spitting out in the shape of 8. Like this, like this. So they will cover themselves with this saliva. This saliva, when it comes in contact with the air, it solidifies. Saliva will be liquid, right? So when it comes in contact with the air, it solidifies. So that becomes like a soft fiber. So they cover themselves. They cover themselves, weave a net around themselves in the shape of 8 by secreting the saliva. Okay. So they keep that they swing themselves from one side to other side. So they keep covering themselves totally from top to bottom. Yes. And when they cover themselves totally in a cover, that is called cocoon. The saliva will be sticky, and when it comes in contact with the air, it solidifies. This saliva contains the protein. It contains the protein which solidifies when it comes in contact with the air. Okay, that is why animal fiber is a protein fiber. This has protein, so definitely the cocoon which it is weaving around itself will have protein, right? So it's a protein fiber. So now this becomes a cocoon, right? Cocoon, now it has covered itself totally. Now at this stage, the pupa will be inside the cocoon. Excuse me. The pupa will be inside the cocoon. Okay. So this the caterpillar In the caterpillar stage, it is called caterpillar, but once it is inside the cocoon, it is called pupa. It is called pupa. Okay, when it is inside the cocoon, it is called pupa. It is not called caterpillar, it is not called larva, it is called pupa. Done? Next process is, next step is the pupa will become, the pupa which is inside the cocoon, it will become an adult moth after 3 weeks. It will emerge from the cocoons after 3 weeks as an adult moth. Okay, this is the life cycle of a silk moth. Now, you may think, ma'am, we are learning about rearing of silkworm for the production of silk. Why do we need this adult moth? Yes? Are you able to understand what I'm asking? Rearing of silkworm, cultivation of silkworm for the production of silk is done. So why do we need the adult moth here? Yes, very good, Ritika. Because we need the adult moth, it has to lay eggs, right? The silkworms cannot lay eggs. The adult moths have to be there. Parent moth have to be there to lay the eggs. If they don't lay eggs, then from where they'll get the silkworms, right? So adult moth is mandatory, must. So if this is the life cycle, as well as the adult moths are also important because they will only lay the eggs during the process of sericulture, right? Now, so we have learned so far about the life cycle of silk moth, how an adult moth emerges out from the cocoons. So a female moth will lay 300 to 400 eggs at a time, and they are washed nicely. They are incubated at 25 degrees Celsius for 14 days. After 14 days, the eggs will hatch and the larvae of the caterpillar comes out. As they come out, they'll be very hungry. They'll start feeding on the mulberry leaves. They'll eat fresh mulberry leaves, and they eat 10,000 times more than their size, and they eat 50,000 times more than their original weight. So they'll grow so much for 4 weeks. For a month, they keep on eating and they keep shedding their skin. So when the process of shedding their skin is called molting, right? So after a month, they will enter into the next stage, which is called the pupa stage, where the caterpillar will secrete the saliva. This saliva contains protein. That saliva, when it comes in contact with the air, will solidify. Okay, meaning that wet thing, the liquid, will become a solid. Okay, so they will weave a net around themselves in the shape of 8. So they totally cover themselves from top to bottom, and that covering is called cocoon. Okay, it will be soft, spongy covering called cocoon. Inside the cocoon will be the pupa. Okay, then after 3 weeks, this pupa will emerge out as an adult moth. It will break the cocoon and come out. Right? It will break the cocoon and come out as an adult moth. Now we will see what happens in sericulture. Sericulture. Right. So what is sericulture? You all know what is sericulture. What is sericulture? Just now I was repeating it 2-3 times. It is a commercial cultivation of, yeah, very good, rearing of silkworm. So, in commercial cultivation of silkworms. Commercial cultivation of silkworm for the production of silk. Yes. So this is the definition of sericulture: rearing of silkworms for the production of silk. Commercial cultivation of silkworms for the production of silk is called sericulture, and India and China and India are the leading producers of silk. First is China, then is India. Okay, because those days there was a very famous silk called the China silk. Your grandparents would be knowing it, China silk. So India and China are the leading producers of silk. Okay. Now, what happens in sericulture is the silkworm farmers, they will rear the moth, and same thing, the female will lay eggs. Okay, so they will clean the eggs and they will keep them in the suitable condition, which I told you already, 25 degrees Celsius. It should get the right humid climate. It should get the proper conditions. You should get the warmth, humidity, so suitable and unsuitable conditions. The eggs are kept for hatching. Then after that, the eggs will hatch and caterpillar emerges out. Right? Caterpillar emerges out. Now, as we already know, they come out and they'll be very hungry, so they'll have to be fed with mulberry leaves. Now, this is sericulture. So, sericulture, what they'll do is they'll keep large bamboo trays. Okay, they'll keep large bamboo trays filled with mulberry leaves. Okay, so large bamboo trays will be filled with fresh chopped mulberry leaves, and these caterpillars will start eating those leaves for a month, for 30 days. Okay, they'll start eating, and then they will get into the next stage, which is the pupa stage. And as you already know, during the pupa stage, they will start weaving net around themselves, right? So twigs will be kept there on which these caterpillar will go and start preparing themselves for the cocoon stage. So they will start spinning their cocoon for the next 7 days, right? So cocoons on the twigs, right? Now these cocoons are sorted according to their size, according to their texture, okay, according to their size, color, texture. So they are sorted out. The cocoons of different size, cocoons of the different texture, cocoons of different colors are sorted out, right? So they will sort. Now it goes to the next stage where we have to get the fiber. So to obtain the silk fiber, the cocoons, as they are sorted, they are put into boiling water. They are put into boiled water to disentangle the thread. So when they put these cocoons into the boiling water, after that they can easily disentangle. That means they can unravel these fiber without any kind of damage. Okay. Now you may think, ma'am, the cocoons, why do they have to kill the cocoon if they have to get the fiber? See, you remember in the life cycle of silk moth, I told that the cocoon will break open and the adult moth comes out from the cocoon, right? So only one thing can happen. Either we can get the adult moth or we can get the silk. Okay, so if you need the adult moth, they will be damaged to the cocoon. So we will not get the fiber from the cocoon because it will totally get damaged. Okay, so if we have to get the adult moth, we should not worry about the cocoon as it will get damaged. But if we have to get the fiber, the cocoons have to be put into boiling water, which will make the insect inside them, the pupa will die. Okay, so if it dies, it will not become an adult moth. So if it dies, it will not cause damage to the cocoon. So when we take it out from the water, we can easily disentangle, and this is done using machine, and that process is called reeling. Okay, to unravel the threads from the cocoon is called reeling. REELING, reeling. Okay, now after reeling, we will get the raw silk, and that silk is spun into fiber. It is sent to the factory, and spinning takes place, then weaving takes place, then we get the silk cloth. Okay, there are different types of silk cloth. There are types of silks: tussar silk, kosa silk, mugi silk. Okay, so there are different types of silk, and different types of silk moths are involved in the production of different types of silk, right? Yes. So, for example, in Assam, one second. Any doubts still here? No. Okay. Good. Muga, Pat, and Eri. These are silks of Assam. Okay. So there are different varieties of silk which are produced on a very large scale, and they are obtained from different types of silkworms. Mostly the silkworms are fed with mulberry leaves. Uh, the silkworms which are fed with mulberry leaves give you the best quality of silk. Okay. So in India, there are different places where different types of silks are reared. In Assam, Muga, Pat, and Eri silk, and then we have Tussar silk, in West Bengal, in Bihar, Chhattisgarh. Okay, then Madhya Pradesh. Then we have Kosa silk, which is produced in Chhattisgarh. Okay, these are few types of silk: Muga silk, Pat silk, Eri silk are produced in Assam. Tussar silk is produced in West Bengal, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh. Kosa silk is produced in Chhattisgarh. Okay, these are very few types of silks which are produced in India. Okay, good. Now coming to the characteristics of silk. Now can you tell me what are the characteristics of silk? We know that they have a shiny appearance, they are very strong, then they are lustrous, right? Am I right? They are easy to dye, they absorb the color easily. They are very light in weight, they are breathable, right? They are very strong natural fiber, they're very strong. Okay, then what else? They are strong, they are lustrous, they are soft, they are smooth, but they lose their strength when they are wet. That's why you would have noticed at home when mummies or grandmas, they will not wash the silk sarees. They will only give it for dry cleaning. So utmost care has to be taken when dealing with silk fabric. Silk shirts, dhotis, aveshis, saris, everything has to be taken care. You cannot just simply go and wash it like other dresses. You cannot put it in the washing machines, otherwise it will lose its lifespan. Okay, it has a long life. If you buy a silk now, it will be there for many years until you have grandparents. Okay, I mean until you become grandparents. So it has to be kept. It has to be dealt with care. Okay, so I hope things are clear till whatever we learned today. I want everyone to go through the slides and read today's topics. Okay, so we'll continue in the next class and we'll discuss the objectives also in the next class. Till then, take care, stay safe. Bye. Thank you.